Louisiana Rocky Boat Horror Show, episode 4.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
Pretty awful. So, we start off with Kenya going, oh, I just drove by and saw Sheree, and so I'm going to stop in. And yet the cameras are there, and she's wired for sound, and Sheree's wired for sound, whatever. So they set a bet about who's going to be in the house by Christmas. So I guess Sheree is definitely a friend of the housewife, meaning that she doesn't get her peach, but she will be a reoccurring character. I mean, I think we already knew that. Phaedra and Portia go to a sex shop, and it's the most boring sex shop I've ever seen. Phaedra gets all dressed up for her man.
How many sex shops have you seen?
They do them all the time on these shows. They've gone to like so many sex shops.
Okay.
Real Housewives of Orange County, anything. Candy and Cynthia talk, and Cynthia's like, oh, we're gonna work on it. We shook on it, and you're like, you're married, like. Right, like if you say, yeah, my husband and I are working on it and we're serious, like you don't need to shake on it, like you're not a high school student. It's just, she always does the most bizarre things, like this comment and then like the friend contract with Nene. It's just really bizarre.
She did a friend contract? I kind of remember that.
She wrote it up and had Nene like sign it. And then then she's like, oh, it's a joke, but then when they stopped being friends, she like burned it and tore it up. And you're like, you still had it? And this is a great example, this episode, of why I like Candy so much, because she always says in her interviews what I'm thinking. She should recap the show. Anyway, Kim and Phaedra do a pool party with their sons, and I have to say, Phaedra throws a nice party, because she like has like a professional lifeguard, so that they can like be like, here kids, go swim, and then they can ignore them, which is a brilliant way of doing it. Like, that's so much more fun. Kim's son, adorable, comes in, says, you know, nice to meet you, Miss Phaedra. Yes, ma'am. And I'm like, that is a great kid. And then, what was funny though is like within 10 minutes of Kim being there, she's like crying. I'm like, oh dang it, Phaedra broke her, because and then the other funny part was Phaedra saying like, oh, you know, because Kim's like, oh, what happened to class? And Phaedra's like, oh yes, girl, class, that's me. And I'm thinking, like, I like Phaedra. I know some people call her Phaedra and stuff. I like her, but I'm like, this is the woman who brought a man who could suck his own to a party. And, like, she represents, like, porn stars.
Classic.
That is classic. So when she said that, I was like, I don't know if that's exactly how I would describe Phaedra. I like her, but I'm going to say she's a little more risque than classy. Anyway, so Cynthia, Kenya, and Tammy, this blonde gal, who we've not seen, and I'm sure, absolutely positive, that they brought her because she's best friends with Sheree's ex-husband. I mean, I'm sure they like sat down and got a list, and they were like, who can we bring to this party? And they're like, could we get Cordell's new girlfriend? No. Okay, well, let's see if we can get, and like went through their list and tried to find someone that would cause drama at the party. And then the other cars, Kim, Candy, Portia, and Shamia. I didn't actually hear her name, so I apologize. It's really rude that I don't know how to say her name, but there you go. So they show up, and the very first, and then Kenya at some point makes a comment about how it's, these people that just do little digs. And I was like, okay, if anybody does not have the right to complain about that, it's Kenya, who can't go more than 2 seconds without a dig. That's just how she is. So, first thing she says is like, Shamia or whatever was not invited, so she like makes a big deal about it, how she wasn't invited. Then Tammy immediately is like, Candy, I met you like 25 years ago. And Candy's like, oh, okay. And then within a few seconds, she's like, I gotta talk to you, Candy. I'm sure you've heard my son's song. And you can see Candy like freeze like a deer in the headlights and start like suddenly looking around for exit strategies. Because we've all been there when someone's like wants something from you, like perhaps to be on a recap that you don't want to do. And so you're looking for a way out of it. But anyway, and then she's like, oh, we got to get back to that studio. And what was great was everybody else left, so it was just Candy. And Candy's like, oh, is there food over there? And like wanders off. And she's like, don't you be leaving me over there. really was super awkward. I thought Candy was gonna jump off. Oh, and then Tammy starts talking about how she's married to this really white guy, like Hitler white. And I was like, oh, that's not normally how I think of my friends, right? Like, let's find the most offensive stereotype. You know what I mean? So anyway, I love Kim. I've really liked her so far. I've really wanted to like her because I knew her as Tootie and I knew her on Living Single, and you know, and she's a new housewife. I want to like her, but she shows up to the party with a book and Tupperware full of her own food, and now I know this is my girl. Like, this is, I say this every week. I really like her. But then Kenya, like, grabs her Tupperware and throws it off a boat. And I'm like, you don't do that to things. Like, they're my... Like, I would have flipped out. I do not like losing my things. It really would have bothered me. And I feel like in a fit of rage, I would have thrown Kenya overboard or something. Anyway, somehow... And everybody's joking and having a great time and drinking and all that. And then Kenya gets into it with Shamia about how, oh, you're doing digs. And Candy's like, the very first thing you said to her was a dig. And she's like, don't you get in this, Candy, you know, back out. And Candy's like, what? And that's exactly how I'm feeling, like, what? Anyway, so she's like, I'm going to have the captain escort you off the boat. And it's like, they're not near, the captain's not going to, like, walk the plank. Like,
captains don't usually walk the plank.
no, he's not going to have her. He's not going to have her walk the plank. Like, there's no way. Like, the best they're going to be able to do is go back and drop her off. So it's like, where's he going to escort her to? So anyway, so she goes over there, and then what was funny? First of all,
the poop deck.
First of all, Kenya said that her and Cynthia were best friends. And then later on, everyone's like, well, you're her best friend, Cynthia. Go talk to her. And she's like, I don't know. There's a lot of other best friends on here. You know, like, all of a sudden, like, this was not what she had signed up for. And they've been calling each other bitch all the time. And Portia says something, and Cynthia decides, like, that was the line. Like, all this bitch you, bitch this, all the time was fine. But because things had gotten tense, like, well, now, clearly, this time Portia was over the line. And to me, it's just drunk talk. Ever been around drunk people, and all of a sudden, something is no longer funny that had been funny, like, 5 seconds earlier? I just can't take it seriously. It's just drunk stuff. And first of all, there's that. So then Kenya comes back, and everybody's got this thing about how Portia's so wrong, and she should go apologize. And so she apologizes, but Cynthia doesn't want anything in this apology. And first of all, I'm thinking, we all know Portia is going to come swinging. Like, she's done it before. So, first of all, you might just be like, hey, maybe she's not the most emotionally, like, stable one. So anyway, it was like she jumps on Cynthia. But I'm just like,
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. That's it. Nobody cares. No, I'm not. Just got one more thing to say, which is just that I don't necessarily think, I'm not picking sides in this bigger fight because I think it's so stupid. But anyway. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's over. Hit me up in the comments.